I like being the rugged independent that just shows up here at the red carpet and no one knows who they are.
Well, I guess to start with, What Lies was so powerful. Can you talk about when did you first get kind of attached? I know it started in one state and you had to travel to the other side. I mean, what caught your eye about just the water and what's been impacted to the water itself?
Well, what caught my eye originally, what was the sort of inciting incident of the story, is that in West Virginia, this chemical had gotten into a water supply that had an incredibly strong smell. 300,000 people were exposed to this chemical. And yet, the only way this contamination was detected was because of that odor. And that made me wonder, if the chemical didn't have an odor, would people have ever known? And if that's the case, what else is getting into our water? So that was really the impetus for the much bigger investigation that this political thriller ended up chasing.
You know, I think we're in a state that obviously has a lot of issues with our water and what's in it. Can you talk about this being such a national issue and how scary it really is?
Well, there's regulatory failure in every state. It just varies. Actually, Texas is kind of in the middle of the pack when it comes to, and maybe that makes you more scared for everyone's water. But I will say that there is a problem in our regulatory agencies, and it connects to our politicians, and of course that connects to the people who fund them. Because scientists are beholden to political agendas, it makes it so that they create science that has a certain intent. Now, science should be fact-based. It shouldn't be a political weapon. And in many instances, that's what it becomes. These regulatory agencies avoid looking for things that are unsavory. They don't look at all. And sometimes it's not even the politicians themselves. Sometimes the agencies just don't want to create a crisis because the people who work there want to keep their jobs. So what happens is the scientists at these agencies, many of them, through pressure or through whatever other means, end up not doing their jobs, so it looks like they're doing their jobs. So we can believe the water is safe because no one's looking.
But even the scientists, like you had the guy that called you and told you the actual numbers, and he was like, no one's listening. No one's listening to you. No one's listening to me. What does it mean that the science is not even being looked at now? I mean, it's being pushed aside completely, it feels like.
Well, independent science may in the future be our primary hope until we clean up these regulatory agencies some. There are a lot of good people within these agencies, but I think that they are silenced or persuaded into not doing good work because of the culture that is enforced. And so it's a dangerous game to play, to manipulate data, because when you start doing that, it makes it so that people say, well, what science can I trust? It undermines the entire institution. And I think that's what we're seeing right now play out on a national level, where people say, well, I can believe whatever science I want to believe. And this is what happens when these agencies pick and choose what science they want to present, and they manipulate data. You can't, how do you know which science in that situation is reliable? In some ways, you then have to turn to foreign countries who have less political influence over the science they're creating to see what should or should not be trusted, what should be believed. And so, in the instance of this film, that's actually how I verify quite a few things, is by looking at science that's been replicated abroad and matches things or does not match things that have been done here domestically.
And you brought up that people can be silenced. I think one of the most powerful elements of the film was we saw a doctor who completely had to change what he was saying, and it necessarily obviously wasn't something he wanted to do, but because of whatever pressures were out there, it completely changed the way he presented things. That must be heartbreaking to see someone that you know knows the truth, or at least knows the realities, and can't really speak the truth even though they're in a bigger, broader position maybe.
I think we all imagine that if we were to become a part of bureaucracy or the system, that we would be able to change it from within, and that the system wouldn't change us. I think the reality is when we get into that situation, we suddenly see, well, maybe I have to make certain sacrifices in order to get other things done. Forces people to play politics a little bit. And I think it's easy to start to lose sight of your ideology once you get into that system. And the question then becomes, at the end of the day, as this character you're describing, when is the end of the day to do the right thing? You know, what is that moment when you come out in favor of transparency or in favor of public health? It takes a lot of bravery to reveal problems, because it means you're going to get a lot of flack for it. And so it was heartbreaking to see this character in this film move in the direction that he did. And I think one of the things about the movie is that it's very hard to know who is good and who is bad. People shift roles in the film. Their arcs completely change. Who you think is the good guy maybe isn't. Of course, I don't think things are that black and white. I think that there's a lot more gray. And that's what I'm trying to get at in this film, is the complexity of why we should be concerned about the scientific integrity behind water in this country.
You know, the film's being sponsored by Earth Day Texas, and they're coming with a film festival that'll be in April, which obviously is fitting for Earth Day. What does that mean that you have organizations that want to back you and back this film and hopefully showcase to more people, and the importance of showcasing it to Earth Day and making it something that hopefully gets expanded even more?
I'm always thrilled when NGOs or partners want to come on and present the film like Earth Day. I never set out with any kind of partnership intent, so it's always interesting to see who wants to come on board. And you know, I consider myself a moderate filmmaker, and I partner with both sides of the aisle on many of my projects, and this one in particular, my last one, Terms and Conditions May Apply. So I'm excited to partner with Earth Day. I'm excited to partner with Republican congressmen and bring this to DC, and find it, and some Democrats there, and find bipartisanship in this, because it is a bipartisan issue. I think that everybody believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and clean water is integral to that.
What does it mean to be able to showcase here in Dallas? Dallas loves your work and loves what you've been able to do. Can you talk a bit about coming to Dallas again?
I love showcasing my films here. The audiences are great. The conversations afterwards are dynamic. I love showing films at festivals that don't have a super liberal bent, because I don't necessarily have a super liberal bent. So it's nice to be in an environment like this where I can talk to a crowd with a lot of different political opinions. Because that's really what you want when you make a film. You want to talk to everybody, and you want to have a conversation about these issues. And if people believe that you have political bias, or that you're trying to present an agenda, they're not going to listen. When I tackle these films, I'm not coming at it with any intent. I just come at it with a question in the beginning, and then do my best to remain objective through that process. So I think Dallas audiences understand that and appreciate it.
Well, thank you for asking that question. I hope more people see what lies upstream, and I love how you end it. You keep it powerful in that it's not answered. We don't know. So thank you so much.